Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 106 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is David Howe.
My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
And we have a very special guest with us, ladies and gentlemen. KerooSeta himself, Kerry Chandler, joins the show. How you doing, Kerry?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very, very good to have you on the show. We have you on tonight's episode because we are actually going to be doing a whole episode on console modding, and probably more specifically handheld and portable gaming system modding. It's kind of blown up over the past few years, I think, with like a lot of popular modders on YouTube. I know, like, I watch it to fall asleep sometimes. and now that a lot of old Game Boys are kind of becoming out of commission, what's the best thing to do is pop an IPS screen in there and make it nice and pretty. So we're going to be getting into all that kind of stuff, some of the history, some of the modern uses of it. And we've also got lots of news and rumors that we're going to be going over today on the show. Got lots of stuff ending here pretty soon, like the final Ninja speed run for Mario Maker 2. We've got 1 year of Animal Crossing that we'll be recapping. We've got a lot of Game Pass and PlayStation news as well. And so we're going to be getting into all that on today's episode. Very excited to get into the news and topics with you guys today. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good over here. Not too bad.
Doing great. There's nothing I could possibly complain about.
Wow. Very good. Nice. Very good. There's stuff that I could complain about, but I'm just going to zip it. Yeah.
I'm doing all right.
Might as well, right?
We got lots of shout outs, so I'm just going to rattle these off. Last week we talked about the Zelda 35th anniversary and what we might expect. And we talked about, will they do pins? And Steve Irwin, Matt Hobby said there should be tingle pins. Brilliant. DCD is the person who also quit playing Undertale, which maybe I'll mention again later. And a bunch of people on our Discord. Quick shout out to Andrew Musel, Tommy, I think it was, Ivy, a new member, folks on Twitter, Luke Bowyer, Donnie Meyer, Ant Keeps Gaming, our friend. On YouTube, we had some comments from a Talking Sock. I love that name. William Rodriguez, who mentioned Zelda Maker would be a cool thing. And
we totally... Yes. We didn't even bring up Zelda Maker at all, but that was a really good call.
Good call, William.
Yeah.
So we're getting lots of these, so just rattling them off. But we love to hear from our listeners, and we love for y'all to share our podcasts, give us a review, post a comment somewhere, that kind of thing. And also continue to send us listener questions. We're actually going to be shifting a little bit. We're going to be doing listener questions in their own sort of special episodes that we'll do sporadically. And also another quick mention, go subscribe to us on YouTube because David here has promised that if we get 250 subs, which we are now less than 50 away from, I believe.
That's right.
He will read his Zelda fan fiction from when describe it real quickly.
Okay, so I probably should have brought it in here so I could show you guys. But you go to our social media, you can see photos of these. But when I was in 5th and 6th grade, that was called intermediate school, where I went to school, they had us basically write books that would get bound into these like little self-published things. And for both years, I wrote Zelda fan fiction. One was a prequel to Ocarina of Time, and one is a prequel to Majora's Mask. Oh, look at this. Thank you very much. They're right here, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. You got both of them right here. This one, Zelda Generations, is fully illustrated as well. You got lots of writing. It's kind of hard to see in the dark. So basically, if we get to 250 subs, I don't know if we have a time limit on it. Let's say by soon. I will not only read these, I will perform and produce fully produce audiobooks. So that includes me doing all the voices and doing all the sound effects for these audiobooks as well. So that should be more than enough to tell all your family and friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Definitely.
Very much appreciated. And thanks to everybody who comments too. Seeing those comments of people being like, hey, I've been listening for a while and this is my first time commenting. Keep those going. It's always nice to see those.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll talk about the news and rumors for the week then. First up is that Super Bomberman R, which is a online battle royale type Bomberman game, as I understand it, is coming to not just Switch, other consoles. It was a Stadia exclusive starting last fall, I think, and it's now coming to all other consoles. I don't know that we have a date yet, but that has been announced, and it's going to be free to play, or I guess that it is free to play. I mean, Stadia, I don't know how that worked, but
so they were asked about it like a while back, and somebody with Stadia was like, well, it could only possibly run on Stadia hardware. There's no way we could port it.
I saw that too. Yeah, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
Oh man, Stadia just continues to be an enormous crock of shit in every possible way.
I had one good experience with Stadia, and that is they basically paid me to play Cyberpunk. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah. And I do have a Stadia controller that I'd love to make use of someday.
I sold it.
But I mean, Super Bomberman R already came out on the Switch a long time ago, right? It was like
almost
actually
launch.
I think
it was
a
a
launch
launch
game.
game.
Yeah, it's a launch.
Yeah. And so like this is the online variant that they had made for Stadia that now is coming to other consoles. So I mean, I'm actually pretty excited about this. I didn't play the original Super Bomberman R. You did, right, Matt? Didn't you buy that game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like the second game that I bought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I played it for
I
a couple
love
weeks.
I love playing Bomberman when I was like in high school, like big like 12-person games of Bomberman or whatever that we would play on the DS. So playing with a bunch of people online sounds like a ton of fun. So I'll probably check.
I loved it on the Super Nintendo.
I was going to say the
used to play it a lot on
64, the online,
Oh,
or
64.
the multiplayer. I liked that. Yeah.
You had a modem on your N64, Patrick?
No, just I had the local one, the 4-player.
What was the Nintendo 64 online in Japan only? What was that
I
called?
don't know.
That's what you. I don't know.
There was not a thing. I don't know. The disk drive or whatever.
The DDDDDD.
Yeah, lots of these. Bomberman. I don't know about you guys when you guys play, but it makes me weirdly competitive, and I shit talk in Bomberman almost more than any other game.
Yeah.
There's something about like the instant death and having to watch your enemies, your people you kill, like watch you play, and they can't play anymore.
There was right after we recorded our last episode, there was an announcement of a new Ninja speed run for Super Mario Maker 2. And as part of that, they mentioned that there's going to be another Ninja speed run, which is going to be the last one on April 14th, which theoretically or likely means this is the very last new content that Super Mario Maker 2 is going to get, the last kind of update, that kind of a thing. So, that's sad, kind of, but cool. The game was decently supported, so we've talked about it.
I got my money's worth, that's for sure.
That's true.
Yeah, I've certainly got my money's worth. I've certainly put in tons of time into that game. I do wish that they hadn't killed the support that it deserved so early. I think that like it really could have used like one more style, and then they dropped Super Worlds, which was really awesome. But then there's a lot of stuff that's kind of broken about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that if they had done like one more little update to like fix some of the stuff that got introduced with that, then that would have been better. But I didn't really play Ninja speedruns that much, so it's not terribly sad. But it's just another thing Nintendo is killing of Mario's.
Yeah. Similarly, and not similarly in that it's the last update, though maybe we could speculate. Animal Crossing got an update, which is also Animal Crossing, like you mentioned, just had its 1-year anniversary on the 20th, and then we've got this sort of first year final update that came out with the Sanrio, like the Hello Kitty stuff, and then there's like an update to the custom designs editor, and kind of a big like island tour thing you can make where you can show off, like make posters and stuff for your island. That looks pretty cool. And then there's like a April Fool's whoopee cushion, which for some reason appeals to me, and stuff like that. So that's
one thing I always thought was missing from Animal Crossing was audible farts.
I
think.
Yeah. So this kind of all begs the question of like, what's going to happen after this? Because are we just going to see the same seasonal events and the same things? They didn't say this was a final update or anything. We'll see if they plan to have more free or paid content for this game. Plenty of room for speculation there.
Yeah, I hugely doubt that this will be anywhere near the final update for this game. I think, like, I don't play this game anymore. I don't know if, I mean, I guess you have started playing again, Patrick, right?
Yeah, my son is super into it right now since the Mario stuff. And in fact, so much so that I've thought about finally just starting a second island on my second Switch because he just continues to destroy it. He loves to get out the constructor app and then just put holes and cliffs in random places. And it's
I've played his Mario Maker levels. I can imagine what your island looks like. Yeah,
I feel like the dad in a Lego movie that wants to glue all the Legos together because I'm like, nope, I design. Nope, this is where it's going. Yeah, nope, exactly. It needs to go right here. I haven't played in since October though. I think my house has still got like jack-o'-lanterns in front of it.
Yeah, right. And I mean, it's and I haven't really played since last summer, but it's like. But people are still playing, and a lot of people are still playing. Like they sold so many copies that even if they had a huge player drop off, that still means millions of people are playing. So yeah, I think we'll be seeing these updates for a while. I think the question is whether or not we'll see paid updates at some point, or if it'll just continue to be free. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and this update seems pretty hefty for this 1 year.
Did I see that they have like the plywood standees, like they have at like the beach and stuff?
Mm-hmm. I think that's right.
Is that a new thing? I saw like a picture of that where someone made like Isabelle and you put your face in it.
So yes, that's Isabelle. Right. That's part of this update too. And I think you can design your own of those. I might be wrong about that, but yes, there's the like stick your head in it standee. Which is
people are doing really creative stuff with that, like making trains with like windows, basically.
Oh, that's awesome.
They made like the Hogwarts Express with the windows and everything, and then I think just in general, you can customize a lot more shit. Like you can make custom umbrellas now and stuff like that. So they've really been opening it up for people to express themselves even more, which is something that game has really needed.
That's cool.
And then on Twitter, Masahiro Sakurai, who is best known probably for the Smash series, but also made Kid Icarus Uprising, or was the lead or whatever his official title was there, posted about that game's anniversary and said something kind of interesting when he said that. He said he received many requests for a sequel and for a remake, but that it would be difficult. Just a little tease there, or just a little acknowledgement of the requests for it, and who knows what would be difficult? Getting Nintendo to agree to it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think he meant by that, or why do you think he said that? Did he? Just so
I assumed he meant mechanically.
People wouldn't beg for it though, too. Or?
Yeah, I mean that game had notoriously weird controls.
They had to make like a stand for it to hold your 3DS on, so you didn't get carpal tunnel syndrome from playing it.
Yeah.
So I assume there's something about the control scheme that he thinks would be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I think he could do it just fine ultimately.
But a sequel could have any kind of controls.
Right.
Yeah. I meant for a remake. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to just see them port it personally, because that's a game that I always wanted to play. But yeah, it's like the weird controls and the fact that I wasn't playing that much 3DS at the time. It kind of stopped me from picking that game up. Although I've heard it's great and very unique. So I'd love for them to port the game. And it's just cool to see him mention this at all, because he doesn't talk about it very often. But I imagine the reason that it's difficult is because he's too busy working on a Meteos remake. So that's a joke for the Meteos fans out there, which
nice.
There are very few of.
This is now a Meteos Headz podcast.
Meteos Headz.
We had some debate about how to pronounce this name. Is it Niantic? The company?
Niantic.
Niantic. Simo.
Niantic is how I would say it. There was just an announcement that Nintendo is partnering with Niantic to create some new mobile apps, games, AR-based in particular. Pikmin 1 is what's been announced so far. That's supposed to come out this year. The idea, it sounds kind of like Pokemon Go, but with Pikmin. Like the idea is to get out and walk around.
Well, Niantic did Pokemon Go and Inverness. Was that what the game was called before?
Ingress.
Ingress. Yeah, everything, all the stops and everything are based on Ingress locations. So they've got all that data mined from those two games. They could just use to
grab
throw
it
on another thing.
Slap some Pikmin on.
Just slap it on there.
That's all it takes.
grab it, slap it, but this time in augmented reality.
Oh.
Did they also do the Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
Yeah,
That
I think they did. Yeah,
Wizards Against Us or something, whatever it's called.
Wizards Against Us.
Wizards Against Us.
Wizards Unleashed. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't think that obviously, I don't think any of these other games that are coming out are ever going to see the success of Pokemon Go. But I saw whenever I was looking up articles about this and I was reading the comments sections, everybody was like super hating on the idea. And they were like, man, fuck Niantic and fuck Pokemon Go. And they're just going to ruin, we just want Pikmin 4. And it's like, man, I don't know. I feel like this would be completely separate from that. You know what I mean? I don't think that this being made means that they're not making a Pikmin 4, you know? And if you don't like it, just don't play it, right?
Well, yeah, like the thing was like when the DS came out, people were just like obsessed with, oh, Nintendo's going to go out of business soon. Apple's going to buy them. They're just going to pull their games on because no one's going to want consoles anymore. It's all about the iPhone games. And, you know, they were fucking wrong. And I think it's the same thing here.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think it's cool. I think AR Pikmin makes a ton of sense. And I think if you can put your camera on the ground and like tell a whole bunch of Pikmin to go from like one area over here to one area over here to like lift up things that are in real life, who knows if that's how it's going to work. But like that would be awesome, right? I mean,
totally.
Nintendo's been messing around with AR a lot recently with, you know, I mean, back even on the 3DS, they had that kind of bubble popping game or the balloon popping game with your faces on it. And then, you know, the newest Mario Kart game. So I'm interested to see some weird stuff with that.
I just don't know if Pikmin has the audience. Like, is Pikmin that popular?
It's more popular now than it's ever been.
Yeah, maybe now.
True.
Yeah.
I wonder, this is pure speculation and something that would be really funny for me. Like you go to like the Empire State Building or like the Statue of Liberty or the Alamo, and you need like 20 people and like 50 people to lift up the building with all the Pikmin and like move it slightly over and then place
or one
Yeah.
purple Pikmin.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You just like throw rock Pikmin at buildings and they fall down.
Yep. Destroy history.
Okay. I'm fully on board now that we've been talking about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Square Enix had their direct like presentation, Square Enix Presents, where they showed off the new Life is Strange game, and they showed off a game that I guess had been in development called Project Athea or something like that, but it's now known as Forspoken, which to me was kind of the cool looking thing out of this
that was the one that looked really awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
There's a bunch of other announcements too, which we can talk about if there's anything.
Tomb Raider cookbook. Let's fucking go. Get hype. Let's make some survival food.
The Tomb Raider like bundle though is a great deal. Those are great games. I love those Tomb Raider games. So
I was upset because I already have them. So I'm like, damn, I can't. I want this deal.
It's like a good deal, right? Like they're gonna sell it for like $20, all three of them together at first. But so I don't know. Is there anything else that jumped out to you other than the one things we already mentioned? They showed off a handful of other things.
I mean, they talked more about what's that game called? Outriders. They talked about that for a while. Obviously, that's coming to Game Pass day one, which is really good for that game. I think that game is going to need to be on Game Pass day one. And so I think for me, that's just kind of showing Microsoft and Square Enix's relationship is only getting deeper and deeper. You've got like every Final Fantasy game on Game Pass, essentially, the Dragon Quest 11, tons of stuff like that. So that's good to see, I think, for a company that was so heavily tied to Sony for such a long time. To see a lot of Square stuff on Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony, I think is all pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice. Anything else, anybody? Then while we're talking about Game Pass, just wanted to mention that there was an interesting Forbes article by Dave Tier, probably is how you say his name, where he like kind of did some analysis and talked to some people at Microsoft about Game Pass and in particular, I just thought it was kind of interesting that it was kind of talked about how for developers it's good because people then still go buy the game, it's like, like I think where you might expect that's not the case. And Sarah Bond, who works for Microsoft, had some interesting, quotes in there about how Game Pass players spend more time playing games than non-Game Pass subscribers, according to their data and stuff like that, which isn't, I guess, that big of a surprise. But just kind of seeing some of that data and stuff is kind of
That's a little antithetical to how I use Game Pass, which is like basically a small sampling of every single game on Game Pass. Yeah,
yeah. I know like Bloodstained is about to go off of Game Pass, and that's a game I put easily 100 hours into on Game Pass. It was the first game I played on there when I got it. When it first came to PC, that was one of the games that was on there to begin with, and I'm about to go buy Bloodstained again.
Oh, really?
Like I don't want to not have access to Bloodstained in case I feel like playing Bloodstained.
That's what the article says. Is people do that because they're like, well, I want to be able to play this when it goes off Game Pass.
Exactly,
so
and it's good for Microsoft too because like I have Bloodstained. Like I bought Bloodstained on Switch before I got Game Pass, so I already had that game, right? But it's like it's good that you played it on there and then you have your save on your Xbox. So it's like you're not going to go buy Bloodstained on the Switch or on PlayStation. You're going to buy it on Xbox because all your shit is already on your console for that, you know, and
or
in the
PC for me.
Or PC, rather.
PC,
excuse me. But you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a
100%.
good way. It's a good way to keep people on your platform.
So I figure everybody that has an Xbox One has Game Pass, right? Like that seems like that's like the reason to have an Xbox.
My sister doesn't. She just uses her Xbox for Elder Scrolls Online. But I keep telling her, hey, that's on Game Pass now. So just get Game Pass.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And there's been some reporting that Microsoft is stopping using the name Xbox Live, and people are saying that they're kind of using the term Xbox Network instead, though that sounds to me like it's more of a generic name and not a I don't know what word I'm looking for, like a specific service,
like
name.
An umbrella term.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm trying to say. As they move away from Xbox Live, probably because of Game Pass, right? Like probably that would be tied in and your only option. Wouldn't you? That's what I would suspect, right? Maybe long term.
Yeah, I mean, and Matt, feel free if you want to jump in on any of this because I know you've been an Xbox player for a while. But like, as far as I understand it, I just feel like Xbox Live is like becoming more and more obsolete. And I think it also is becoming confusing for people to have two separate services that they're trying to push. And I think it'd be a lot easier for them to just push the one thing in the eyes of consumers. Like I know personally, I'm still confused whenever every month there's like Xbox Live games with gold that I can grab. And I'm like, wait, so these aren't the subscription thing? Like I own these and it's like, do I have Xbox Live if I have Game Pass? Like, it was all, at least at the beginning, very confusing to me. But I don't know what your take is, Matt.
I think generally this is a weird change for me because I've had Xbox Live since the original Xbox
2000 or whatever that was. 2001 or whatever.
Yeah, it's been almost the standard for online gaming since for the past 20 years. And so when you say like there's like market confusion of what the product is and what it has and what it comes with, like games with gold, Xbox Live, like that's not confusing to me. But the more that I heard you talk and share about it, David, that's probably the reason why is they're not trying to change the product name for someone like me who knows what it is. They're trying to make it clear to new consumers.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense to me. Even though it's like calling it Xbox Network feels like a weird shift.
Yeah. And none of that is official. That's just kind of people noticing that they've been dropping the live branding on some of their videos and stuff and seeing that term network pop up. So we'll see if they ever even say anything about it or if it's a slow fade or what. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Microsoft Xbox Online.
yeah. Microsoft Xbox Switch Online Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah.
51 worldwide classics.
Yeah.
Another one.
And Knuckles.
Your thoughts on, Matt, and that's this news because I think you shared this, that Embracer Group, they are the parent of THQ Nordic and some other companies,
and
right?
Gearbox, the people who make Borderlands.
They are it's been stated that they are like looking to acquire publishers, developers, and quote unquote other assets, whatever that means. I guess like IP probably or something. Like
Dogecoin.
Buy a whole crypto.
So, any thoughts on this one, Matt? Like, is this just another companies subsuming companies thing, or?
I think so. Yeah, this is more market consolidation, which is almost never good for us as the consumer. It makes things easier for the first couple of years, 4 to 5 years, but once a company gets too much power, then they start wielding that power in anti-consumer ways.
Yeah.
So I would assume like what other assets are probably like when Epic bought that video processing company. I can't remember what it was. What's it called?
Yeah, we talked about that a few episodes ago.
Bink Video or something like that. I feel thank you. Bless you. And bless me. I feel it's something like that.
Bless Kerry earlier. He had a really weird, really weird sneeze. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's all good. I feel it's assets like that, some standard technology that developers use that they want to license, the way that Epic licenses the Unreal Engine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
In other consolidation news, Sony has apparently purchased Evo, the annual, or it's maybe even 2 biannual, right? Because there's a US one and a Japan. I'm not an expert.
Yeah, I think that's true.
They purchased the fighting conference, the fighting game conference Evo, the event, I guess, right? Which was suffering because it's like Head had been guilty of some sexual abuse or
creepy shit
scandal around that.
The owner of it and the guy who ran it had lots of sexual misconduct allegations and rumors. Yeah.
So this is interesting for lots of reasons. Like, is Sony trying to do this to have, what do y'all think? I don't know what to think about this. I just like, why did they why buy Evo?
I feel like we were talking about this, David, you and I were talking about this on Discord, arguing whether this is a good or bad move and whether Nintendo will be a presence on this. And for me, this is a marketing arm for Sony now, where they will use this platform Evo as an opportunity to sell space to other companies to headline their games, whether it be Tekken or Street Fighter or other fighting games, trying to get more of the stage for their brands or products or partners.
Yeah, it would make sense, especially for any third-party fighting games to all be played on PlayStation systems, right?
Yeah.
And kind of a showcase of like, hey, these are games that you can get on PlayStation platforms. I really don't, though, see it quite as fatalistically as you do, Matt, in regards to, stopping.
Will Smash Brothers be able to play?
Yeah, will Smash Brothers continue to be at Evo? I can't personally see them removing Smash. I think like Smash.
What if they have to, though? That's where they are. Like, what if Nintendo puts up a stink about it?
Well, they haven't. I mean, Nintendo put out a statement for this, and they were like, "We're looking at it
to evaluate."
Yeah, we're looking at what's going on, and it's like they're like we're like happy for Evo.
Yeah,
to,
they
like,
wish them luck.
Ownership. Yeah, and but they didn't say they're not going to take it off. They didn't. I don't think that there's been any talks about that behind the scenes already. Is what I'm saying. Already, Nintendo has like pulled out of a lot of fighting game tournaments because they've all been done online, and a lot of people are playing Smash over, like better online capable PCs that have like less lag when they're playing, right? So they had a lot of problems with that. So I don't think that we would have seen them at this year's Evo anyway. But I think next year, I would be very surprised if we don't see it, because Smash has been like, like it's the biggest event at Evo every single year. It always gets the most views. And even if it's not available on PlayStation platforms, you would think that if that brings in so many views, and that's giving Sony an opportunity to then shill their products to all these Nintendo players and Nintendo fans and maybe win some of them over with some of these other games, that just seems like a good idea to me. But I think Matt disagrees. What do you think?
I mean, my counterpoint is only like that makes sense from a marketing standpoint, but like Sony doesn't have to give their space to anyone, or especially a main competitor such as Nintendo. I think you probably said it best when you said I'm very fatalistic about that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I've never seen Sony behave in such a way where they would share the stage with another major console.
Right. I mean,
Or
it took them a
Nintendo.
while to like do crossplay with Fortnite and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and
Exactly.
It's only Fortnite and a handful of games, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, also like they were one of the first companies to do crossplay, you know, with Valve on Portal 2, right? That was one of the first ever games to be cross-platform multiplayer. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. I think
I'd be more Nintendo. Nintendo is always acting like they don't want their stuff on anything. They want everything locked down in their little ecosystem. So I don't know. I could see Nintendo putting up more of a stink than Sony.
Yeah, using this as an excuse to not let them do it or something.
well,
Yeah.
Where do you stand on this, Patrick? Do you think that we'll see
I'm
Smash
more
at
in
Evo in
Matt's
the future?
camp. I'm not sure that that this means, you know, like you said, it's hard to say with this year because I don't think that it'll be part of it either way. But and this may be so new that it doesn't affect anything for a while. But I'd be kind of surprised if it's still there. I don't know.
Let's David, to follow down that rabbit trail. Well, while I don't know, agreeing with Patrick with what you're saying, is let's say Nintendo does make a presence at Evo 2022. It's fall 2022. And then we finally get the 6th Smash character announcement at Sony's Evo.
Well, that's not going to happen. That character's coming out this year, right?
Yeah.
It would be Nate Drake from Reset Era.
That if it was this, there's a Sony character in Smash. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
go.
That's what this has all been about.
Crash.
Yeah.
Crash. There we go. Crash and
Crash-
Smash confirmed.
Crash is not a Sony character. He's a 10-cent character.
Well, we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. But one thing that recently happened too was Sony announced a play at home update, which is like a bunch of free games they're giving away this spring.
Hell yeah.
It kind of runs the gamut from like big AAA games to some classic indie games and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. You can get these 10 or so games if you just have a PlayStation account. You don't even have to have.
Yeah. Like
anything,
I don't have
right?
I don't have my newest PlayStation is a PSP. But I still have I made a PSN account like 2 years ago when they did this. And so I've got games on my account. I've got
Awesome.
several games, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cap
for
it off.
free. Just some other of the indies. The Witness was on there. I think I saw Enter the Gungeon was on there as well.
I
Is that
believe so.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thumper. Did I say The Witness?
You did, but-
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so and a lot of these games are VR compatible too. So these are games that you can play just on the TV, or if you have a PSVR, you can play them. Like for instance, Thumper is amazing in VR. It's a great game just by itself, but it's like extra crazy in VR. So it's like I think it's worth getting these games just in the instance that you might get a PSVR down the line at some point. Might as well pick them up.
Yeah, I'm planning to get a PS5 like Christmas-ish.
Mhm.
And so I figure I'll have a library
Right.
of indie games.
And then the last bit of news is also related to PlayStation and maybe kind of segs us a little bit into our main topic, which is why might you mod consoles or get into modding things? Well, because the support from the companies might go away. And in this instance, PlayStation is going to be shutting down the PS3 and the handheld stores.
Now, this is just a rumor still. I don't know that this has been confirmed yet.
Yeah, that might be true, right?
Right.
There was something that came out on Monday that I don't know. I feel like I heard it was a rumor, and then people seem to be acting like it's more a done deal. But yeah,
I will look into this while you continue to speak.
I think there's some evidence from data mining is where
Is that
they.
what it
I
is?
think
Then
that's
it's-
what it is.
So I guess it's still not confirmed. It hasn't been said, but the speculation or the data mining suggests that it's this summer that the stores are going to close down. So when that happens, you won't be able to buy new games or re-download your games if your console breaks and then you have to fix it or something.
Well, and the situation may be worse than that because your PlayStation 3 and your PlayStation 4, and I guess it's PlayStation 5, you have a battery in there, and the battery will eventually die. It's just a watch battery, right? Same. It's a little CMOS battery. It's a little, quarter size battery. It will eventually die no matter what. When it dies, you can put a new one in, no big deal, but it has to check Sony's servers to reset. And with the PS3, it won't be able to play any digital games you have downloaded on that system until it's made that check of the servers. With the PS4, it won't be able to play any physical games either.
Right.
So that's what people are worried about, is that someday, eventually, you could turn on your PS3 or PS4 and it's a brick now because the servers are down.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely concerning. I mean it's really concerning for something like the PS3, where it's like PS3 emulation is really, really difficult. I mean, even the PS5 doesn't have a big PS3 library. I think a lot of the games that you can play on that you have to stream on PS Now, right?
One of the little bits of evidence that was pointing towards this too, and that you just made me think of, David, was that somebody high up at Sony was talking about how they don't think there's any value to old PlayStation games too.
What?
Or they're like, we don't know why people would. Why would you want to play a PlayStation game or something like that?
Who would ever want to watch, the original Star Wars when you can just watch Rise of Skywalker? Okay, why would you go back to the 70s?
But did y'all see that? Kerry, you were nodding your head.
Yeah.
Which is also further evidence for this, but something you said, David. Now I've kind of taken you and me off track, because I apologize.
No, it's okay. But I mean, it is scary, and this is like part of the, we're now getting to the point where the first systems that had fully digital libraries are now having those libraries become obsolete. So we're kind of seeing what a lot of the people that are like, you got to just buy physical games, were warning us about, right? So we'll see how it shakes out. But I mean, like, we saw this already happen with WiiWare and the Wii shop, which was very sad. There's lots of stuff that's kind of just gone now. But at the same time, this is the reason that piracy exists, right?
Yeah, like I'm normally very anti-piracy, but this is the kind of situation where I will 100% pirate something. Like, of course. And the thing is people have been kind of really Pollyanna about, this is going to destroy things. And there's going to be a segment of the gaming community that will have no problem with this. It'll flip right over. We'll be able to go to the wares, whatever. The Pirate Bay, whatever it is. I don't know.
Juarez.
Yes, wherever you get your illegal goods. And it'll be fine. But the average consumer who just has a PS4 is going to be screwed and not know what to do.
Although, if I can defend that asinine comment from whatever Sony executive said that thing earlier, I do think that the average consumer is not still playing PS3
well,
games.
I kind of think so too. And that's what I think his point was, that it's like sort of a niche vocal minority of people that are overly concerned about backwards compatibility and playing older games.
That's absolutely true.
But how are we going to play?
My son prefers Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
What?
My 7-year-old.
He just really likes horses on Star Destroyers. All right.
Yeah. No, he probably doesn't. Actually.
Yeah. How are we going to play PT for the next 20 years? All the
You have to play the remake that was made in Dreams.
Yes. See, nature finds a way.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Good stuff. Okay, cool. Well, I think that that does it for our main topic then, or for our news and rumors. We're going to get into our main topic, which is console modding and kind of all about it from our guest who does it as a hobby. So when we come back. All right, so this week we are talking about console modding, and in particular, I guess that's like hardware that we're talking about, right? I mean, I think just to clarify for people listening, and also for my sake, just so that I understand better, like, when people talk about modding, sometimes we're talking about modding a game, like a actual somebody's changing the code in a game to add something that's missing from it, and sometimes we talk about hacking, something like hacking your Switch so that it can play games or have a different operating system. But what we're talking about today, if I'm right, is like actually modifying or changing the hardware for a system, like the console itself, to have different attributes, or right? Is that, and maybe
Yeah,
Kerry,
yeah,
you can explain
totally.
this better than I just
so
did.
like what you're talking about, like jailbreaking or whatever, that's soft modding, and then
Right.
hard modding is actual like physical modifications to the hardware, and it entails everything from putting like a new case on things for all the people who can hear pictures. So
This for the video podcast people.
For the video
can see this.
podcast, right? I've got a white, completely ghost
looks
white Game
clean.
Boy there, or I just did that one, or this Nickelodeon GBA there.
It's like a atomic.
That
So
one's
that's-
really nice.
And like orange.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the one I just did this yesterday, I think.
Right.
But so just changing the aesthetics of it, putting new shells on stuff, to putting like a backlit screen in it, because that's kind of the curse of the older handhelds, is that you can only play them in like direct sunlight, basically.
Yeah, or in the back seat of the car with the headlights behind you, right?
Yeah, or the street light, make them move, pause every time they pass the street
Exactly.
light. Exactly. So, or like this one, I put rechargeable battery with USB-C there,
Awesome.
that kind of stuff. So it's stuff like that is mostly what it is. There's other things as well. So there's region mods. That's the ones that I like. I remember hearing about, like, even back in like college, or people would, you could send off your PlayStation to like a sketchy place, and they would put a region switch in it so you could play Japanese import games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually put that in the notes. That was my first experience with console modding. It was just straight up, having a pin somewhere inside the PlayStation 1 that would allow me and my friend to play like Japanese Dragon Ball Z games,
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like you can do that with the NES is actually really easy to region mod. It's just you're going in there and just like basically lifting a pin and bending it out of the way, or breaking
Right.
it off of a chip, and then soldering a jumper. And it's like it's a very simple, easy, like entry level one that a lot of people do, not even to play region free, but to fix problems, because that's another issue. Is like a lot of like the NES, like sometimes you put in a game and it would flash. The screen would flash. It would flash off and on, off and on, off and on, and you take it out and you blow in it and all that, and that fixes it sometimes. And what that is that's the region chip inside. It basically, if it doesn't detect just the right connection, then it thinks you're playing a pirated game.
So is that the CIC chip? Is that what that is?
Yeah, exactly. And so you can just bypass that, and then you won't, even if you're not trying to play foreign games or whatever, you can just put in your regular games. You'll never have that flashing problem again. It's little things like that. So all sorts of stuff involved in the hardware modding.
Maybe we'll get into more of that too. I'd like to hear both about the history of modding, and Kerry, since you're our resident, I know when I asked you wanted to clarify that you're a hobbyist, but I don't mean, but is there anybody, I guess there might be people who make a living doing this, but like,
definitely.
But like, that's probably a small amount of people in the grand scheme of things. But you know more than we do. So what got you into it? And what a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess like, I've always been kind of into messing with hardware stuff. When I was a kid, I got into like dumpster diving for like NESs and stuff, and trying to fix them, like take them apart and clean it and stuff, and had a couple of successes with that. So I've got like 3 NESs that, like, or one of them I rescued like from a trash can, that was all beat up and stuff. And when I was a kid, and then I started building my own computers in high school. And then in college, I got a job working in PC repair for like a industrial computer supplier, like doing, so they taught me how to solder and how to use, a multimeter and stuff like that. So I kind of got into all that. But then just before the pandemic, I started learning about console modding and decided to start getting into it. It turned out to be like the perfect time to get into console modding, because had a lot of time on my hands all of a sudden. So I got it. I think I was looking at my Amazon history today, and I was like, I bought my soldering iron February 2020. So my current, I had one before, but I couldn't find it. So I bought like a new one to do that stuff with. So yeah, I've only been really doing the console modding for like a year.
Okay.
But, yeah. But yeah, I guess that's how I got into it. My first thing I did was actually a couple of years ago was replacing a joystick in a 3DS. I broke the little thumb slider thing on my 3DS XL, and I just kind of looked up a video of how to do it, and I'm like, I bet I can do that. And I did it. And then I had drifty Joy-Cons and I fixed drifty Joy-Cons, and from there it's just kind of, you know, repair grew to modification, you know.
Right. Yeah, I've always wanted to get into console modding and repairing and stuff like that, but it's like the barrier to entry for me has always been the soldering iron, right? Like that's like what scares me. You know, it's like if anything I can do without having to solder anything, like I'm pretty comfortable with, but then as soon as I get to that point, I get like a little too scared. But it's also like probably something that you just do once and then you get better at it. And
I hear from a lot of people that soldering is what scares them off. Like, oh, there's no way I could do that. And it's like, if you're soldering chips, computer chips, like integrated circuit chips, that's difficult. That's high level. But the kind of soldering you have to do for like 99% of console modding, you could figure out how to do in like 10 minutes.
It's just like connecting wires.
It's connecting wires. It's you melt that you touch the thing till it melts. And not long enough that it burns. And there, you're
that's
good.
Too fucking scary for me, Kerry. Okay, I don't want to melt anything.
When I went to work for that computer company, they gave me like 3 hours training, and they're like, "All right, here you go. Here's an actual circuit board. Here's a graphics card. Don't break it."
I want to see your YouTube channel where you teach people how to solder. You're like, keep it on there till it's hot.
Then in terms of, there's been console modding as long as there's been consoles then, right? I mean,
like I love like so some of the early stuff is where we got Ms. Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all might know the story of that, but you have these students at MIT who basically they're playing asteroids and they're like, this is too easy, let's take it apart and build a mod for it to make it harder. And they made super asteroids and they started selling the kits. And then they started like, we can make our own game. And they started making a Pac-Man clone that was better than Pac-Man. And Namco, or well, Midway actually, which is the publisher from Namco in America back then, they're like, how about you just make a Pac-Man game? And we got Miss Pac-Man, which is, I would say, one of the best arcade games, you know, hand down.
Yeah,
definitely the best Pac-Man. And like, that was literally, they were taking circuit boards and they were wiring jumpers to change how the game works, you know? So that's kind of the history. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it goes back to the 70s, like at least.
Yeah. And then MVG did a great video on these CIC chips that were in the NES, kind of as like an early form of DRM.
Yeah.
And that was like how a lot of the games, you know, had to have that Nintendo seal of approval, right? Or the seal of quality. But really all that was games that were compatible with the hardware. You know, they had to have that certain thing in the cartridge to be able to run. And then there's the whole story of like Tengen, right? Or Tengen, and their version of Tetris. And they basically found patents for this and then said they reverse engineered it basically. But there was a whole lawsuit that they had to go through because they had been working on that stuff behind Nintendo's back. So that kind of thing goes back a long way as far as companies are concerned as well.
That's Compaq and IBM, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So we kind of started talking about why you mod, you know, your consoles or your hardware, but maybe we can go into some of the other reasons that we didn't get into, or just kind of go into more detail. Like I think this is something you even said, Kerry, when y'all were talking about when we were talking about the Virtual Boy on Discord or something, like modernization, like you know, you might want to mod a console so that you could play it on a modern TV, right?
That's a big one that people do is modding like Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, N64, so that they can output HDMI, like truly output to HDMI without having to go through some kind of pass-through system that has lag and all that. You can create, like, there's mods you can do to actually have it output straight into HDMI or component or whatever.
So some of the best ones I've seen, I've gotten really close. I've like hovered my mouse over a number of Etsy shops where it's basically a Dreamcast with an HDMI out, and then instead of the disk drive, it's a it's a SD slot.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically you can just load up the SD card with like every Dreamcast game and have it go straight out to your TV. I've gotten so close to buying one of those several times.
That's a real common one. They've got that for the Dreamcast, the Saturn, the GameCube, PlayStation. So yeah, that's one I've looked at doing a bunch of times, and it's one of those things where the SD card, just the mod chip to install it yourself is like $150, $180.
Right. That's like where a lot of the value is.
And I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense why people would want to do that too, because it's like, emulation is getting better and better, but there's something to playing stuff on the original hardware, right?
Yeah. For a lot of people, it's got to be on the original hardware, but you don't necessarily want to have a CRT, like a big CRT, like especially you want to be able to play in your living room or something, not have this big monstrosity. Like I've got a little CRT, I've got a little like 10-inch CRT in my shop for testing, and I play, I have an N64 hooked up to it to play out there sometimes, but yeah, like if I'm going to play in my house, I want to play on my big 60-inch TV,
Hell yeah.
But I want it to look right.
Get those 360p graphics looking nice and crisp.
Exactly. Yeah, it looks like garbage.
Yeah,
it's terrible. That N64 looks like crap on my TV.
Yeah, the N64's graphics have not aged well. I think. Yeah.
And I would imagine that this is true, and I don't know if this is true, but I imagine that on that same improvement tip, that there's certain things about certain consoles that like are kind of weird. Things that they had that people mod their consoles to get around or deal with or whatever. I don't know if there's any good examples of that of, Kerry. Is that, or if that's even true? Like I'm thinking about maybe the circle pad or something on the 3DS or something like that.
Right. One that comes to mind for me is the issue of light gun games.
Right.
The light gun games, they basically are based on the refresh rate on a CRT. So even if you could get your NES or your Dreamcast hooked up to your 1080p television, you're not going to be able to play House of the Dead or whatever. It's not going to work. And so there's been people that have done some really crazy mods to create workarounds for that, where they basically do what's the IR camera situation that a Wii remote is using, in stuff. That's one that you see a lot. And then of course there's getting around those region locks that are just mean-spirited,
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. And it's funny because you look at Nintendo and they didn't have region locking on their handhelds until the 3DS.
Right.
But then their consoles were have always been region locked, and it's pointless. Mm-hmm. There's no reason for it.
Well, they've done away with it now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, getting around that. But it's funny because the N64 region lock is literally a piece of plastic, and you could just go in there and clip it with clippers, and it's not region locked anymore. Or I 3D printed a slot so the games still fit in there nice, but you can play. I can play Japanese or American games on mine, but that's kind of funny. But yeah, the region one is I think the biggest one, and then the light gun one is one.
I think you brought up one earlier. Of just putting new screens in these consoles.
Oh, yeah.
Just talking about the Game Boy Advance for a second, the GBA, the original GBA right there, beautiful, bright, and colored
blinding,
several different kinds of N64s, is the original GBA form factor is what I think most people like. But then the GBA SP
favorite.
Yeah, it fits in your hand really, really well.
It is the best form factor of to me of anything. This. It's better than a PSP. It's the perfect size and weight. It just fits so well. It's my favorite form factor of it.
But then even then, it's back in the day, if you wanted one with a backlight, you had to get an SP, and even then, that wasn't a backlight. That was a side light, right?
Well, there's two. So the first edition of the SP is the 001. The 001 is a front light, and it's garbage, right? The 101, that is a true backlight, and it looks great. It doesn't look quite as good as this, but it's close. This is a IPS display, which is the pixels are lit from within. And so it's a little better, but it's not that much better. Yeah.
Look how bright my GBA SP is. Huh?
Yeah. So that is nice. That looks like a 001 to me.
It is. Yeah.
And so that is a word of warning, by the way. If you're ever going online to buy an SP, a plain old dog crap SP that's all scratched up and stuff, if it's a 001, that thing's worth $40. If it's a 101, it's worth 90.
But I mean, it can't be that hard to put an IPS screen in, right? Is it pretty easy to swap those out?
Oh no, yeah, I did that recently. I did an SP just a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's not that. It's harder than others because of the hinge. Anytime you got to mess with that hinge, that's a pain. but it's not that bad actually. It's not as bad as like a DS or a 3DS, which is like that's like an expert level screen replacement right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Another obvious reason that we kind of talked about of modding your console would be to fix things, to repair things, and we've kind of discussed the possibility of us doing a more in-depth episode on repairing, but we got to mention it at least. Because like the Joy-Cons, like you talked
right
about,
here,
right?
I think this one right here, I replaced the left right there, or the right Joy-Con on this one.
And that's
I've done I've done 7 or 8 now because I've done them for several friends also.
So when you say you replaced it, are you replacing the entire stick there, or are you just like cleaning it out?
You can go on Amazon. You can buy the sticks. If you buy them in bulk, you can get like 6 for $20. And it's the exact same stick that they used. I mean, it's just factory in China making the same. It's the same sticks. It has the same problem. It's going to get drift eventually, but it is like a 15-minute repair.
So it's easier to, rather than like cleaning out the contacts and like hoping that the regular stick, that's not the problem. It's just the stick itself.
It's a flaw in the way the stick is designed. So if you open it up on the inside, if you take the stick out and you pry open the box that it's in, it uses these like 2 little metal prongs, and they're scratching along a graphite sheet. And as they scratch on it, the Joy-Con is basically measuring the resistance as it's scratching along there. And that's how it works. Well, the more it scratches, it starts scratching away that surface. And eventually it's scratched away the graphite enough that it's not making contact. And that's when you get the drift.
That's super stupid.
Yeah. And so you can, right. It's a flaw that Nintendo could absolutely fix. It's a flaw that does not exist in certain other similar joysticks, like the Vita, for instance, which is a similar joystick, but doesn't have that problem, I don't think. And you can, I don't know if people have used a Vita enough to know if it has drift, but
I've played mine a lot.
Yeah, no.
Some shade towards the Vita. I love it.
I love the Vita, but undersold system. But no, like you can get in there and blow out the dust, and that'll help it. Might give you a few more weeks or a couple more months, but it's not fixing the problem. But you can replace the stick, and replacing the stick is really easy. Takes 15, 20 minutes. You just have to be careful because it's like just the last time I did one, I ripped a ribbon cable.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, they're so small and compact,
Yeah. And it's all bunched in there real together. Right. You have to open it. I always say open it like a book. Treat the spine, like the rail, as like a spine of a book, and open it like a book real carefully, and you'll be fine. And what happened was when I was removing one of the ribbon cables, I broke not the cable, but the gate that it's on. And that's, you buy the gates. I bought like a 10-pack of the gates for $1.50 on AliExpress.
You grabbed a little too hard. You slapped a little too hard.
Exactly. But it's that's one Joy-Con. Or anytime I hear people complaining about like drift and like, oh, I'm gonna have to send in my Joy-Cons, and I'm like, I mean, you can send them in, but I'm telling you, it's not hard to fix. And it's like, you're gonna spend $10
Yeah, I mean, and the last time I sent mine in, I didn't have Joy-Cons for like 2 months or longer.
Exactly.
I had to buy like third-party Joy-Cons after a while because I got tired of playing on my TV.
Yeah, well, that's why I have these yellow ones. I bought the yellow ones because I was getting drift in my others, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy some new Joy-Cons. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna fix the other ones, and I did. I drift them, I fixed them, and then eventually these got it, and I fixed it in one of them. And
yeah, I'm gonna show my age a little bit, but I do remember, and like repairing electronics feels like a lost art. Like we're talking about it in detail, and I like all this tinkering stuff. I made my own arcade, and I really love messing with all of the electronics and have a soldering iron and all that stuff. But I definitely have distinct memories of like, my dad taking the stereo to like an electronics store to get it fixed because something wouldn't work or the cassette wouldn't work. And I feel like that doesn't happen anymore. And it's actually frowned upon in some social way that if you have an electronic piece, you're almost leaning or push towards buying a replacement rather than getting the old one fixed.
It feels like things are made to not last as long. Oh, I think they are. I don't think that's it feels like. I think it's
planned
true.
Obsolescence.
Yeah,
right?
things are made more cheaply and
it's that they're made more cheaply is I think the biggest thing is that, as production has shifted like to to China, for instance, and the low cost, everything's gotten way cheaper, right? But then it's also just flimsier and breaks more easily, and it's harder to fix a lot of the time. Yeah, definitely true.
Cheaper for the economics, but maybe not for the planet.
Globalism.
Yeah.
But
it'll be fine once we collect all our trash and shoot it into the sun.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I think we might talk more about some of those things later. So maybe we should move on and unless there's anything else on repair. But I think maybe the next two things I have on this list maybe tie together, which is like aesthetics and collecting, I think are a big part of, I would imagine, why people get into this hobby too, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people, there's a lot of collectors, obviously, which I'm not big on collecting. I mostly, I have my meager amiibo collection there, but like these right here, I mean, I'm going to sell them. I'm not going to keep it.
Right.
I'll keep it if I want to play with it, but I sell them and use the money to buy more parts to do more modding,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of collectors, and there's a lot of like, really cool collector items that people would love to have on their shelf, but they don't necessarily want to spend $900 on a, Tokyo Lions edition Nintendo Game Boy,
Right.
things like that. Like and so you can buy reproduction shells and stuff and then do it. I had a guy that I did a commission for. He wanted the Space World GBA color scheme, which is that like turquoise and orange and silver kind of thing,
Right.
and things like that. People will do that. I've done several of the like Pokemon Game Boy colors, that have like the Pokemon on this thing and like the special Pikachu and the like Togepi and all that kind of stuff. And so that's like another reason is like a lot of people want to collect the different aesthetics without having to break the bank.
And even like when it's not special editions that already existed, like I know, for instance, my sister a couple years ago went on Etsy and bought some like uniquely colored Joy-Cons that just, were just hand painted.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the simplest modification there is, right? But it's like, but at the same time, it's like, we've talked about this before on the show, but Nintendo, we all thought that the Joy-Cons would be a lot more customizable than they are at this point. And so having a uniquely colored pair of Joy-Cons or like a Game Boy Advance that's bright pink and blue or whatever, like makes it more individual for each person. And that I think is a huge draw for people.
Yeah. And or like, I did a commission for a guy that he's like a Baltimore, I guess, Ravens fan. Are they purple? I'm not a sports person. and he was like, I want a like purple GameCube with all purple LEDs. I'm like, all right, I could do that. So sure.
I'm only going to play Madden 2001 or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's right there. Like you kind of got at this last thing I was thinking of, which is reason people might do this is to make, a little side money or to sell them or to keep your hobby going or whatever, like you're doing, it sounds like, right?
Yeah. I haven't, I gave up keeping like a balance sheet on it. So, but I kind of try to do it.
Don't tell the IRS.
I'm not declaring these on my taxes. I make a little money doing it. I don't, there are some people that make a hobby that are like, are pros. There's a guy I follow on Twitter, Dragon Horde Gaming. They do like custom. That's like their business, and their stuff is like. They make custom 3D printed molds for everything, and it's like super super nice. But any hobbyist, you can go in. You probably spend like $100 on tools to start off with, or maybe 50, 60, and then you might spend like $100 on parts and might be able to sell that thing for 120 or 150. So you're not making crazy money,
right?
But it is like my wife is like super supportive of it because she's like, hey, you could be spending like $3,000 a year on a deer lease and like hunting and all that, like every other male in my family. Or, me, I have a hobby that mostly pays for itself,
Nice.
So
right.
It works out.
Well,
deer don't do a lot of work around the house in order to pay for themselves.
to that point, are you talking about tools and getting started and stuff? Maybe we can close out with just some. Oh wait, David's got something.
Well, yeah, I actually did have one more that you didn't have on this list, Patrick, and that's taking home consoles and creating portables out of them. That's a really big aspect of console modding that I find really fascinating, and I've always wanted. Like, I think like originally, I saw like some pretty crappy looking big handheld N64, right, with the cartridge sticking out of the top and everything. And but over the years, if you follow this stuff on YouTube or on Twitter, it's gotten better and better and better. And especially as you were saying with 3D printing and 3D printing shells and stuff like that, there's some really great stuff. Like G-Boy makes a kit for making a portable Wii that is basically in the shape of the original DMG Game Boy.
Yeah.
And that is really fascinating to me because it's essentially really a handheld GameCube, right? Because you don't have the motion control, obviously, that you would have with the Wii. You actually turn that off. But what it can do is play like every GameCube game from an SD card. And then through the Wii Virtual Console, you can load emulators onto that and then emulate all these old consoles as well. And then the way that they do that and watching those videos is really interesting because you're actually going in and like using a Dremel tool to like shave the motherboard to as small as you could possibly make it without cutting off any essential features.
That's why they use the Wii.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because the Wii is more compacted than the GameCube. When you look at the inside of it, it's really just 2 circuit boards. And the GameCube one, you've got a lot. Well, it is still really just 2, but it's a lot of more junk in there. So
sure.
Yeah, and I think the same people. I think it's G-Boy. I think they also do an SP one. That's a Wii that has the folding screen, and so it's awesome. Like it's bigger. It's like it's this big, but it's like a quarter pounder.
Right.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is something I've looked at a lot and been like,
I was gonna ask.
I wonder if I could do that. Could I do that? Yeah. I bet I could do that.
I bet you could too, man.
Too. I could print the case. I got a 3D printer. I could print the case.
That should definitely be your next project, man.
Yeah, that is on my horizon. Possibly this summer is like to do a portable console like that.
Yeah, a console that you would do like a Dreamcast or
a Dreamcast would be awesome. A Dreamcast would be especially because I love the Dreamcast library. It's got so many cool games, and it's a really small form factor to begin with. The Wii is another one. The Wii is one where it's just ideal because it's really when you open up a Wii, there's almost nothing in there. It's a big disk drive and then like a pretty small circuit board. So that's all. That's kind of the one. So that'd be pretty cool. I also really would love to do the opposite of that, which is to turn a portable system consoleized is another realm of modding. And I was talking in the Discord, I think, about doing that to Virtual Boy.
Right.
That a lot of Virtual Boys, the point of failure on it is the laser in the eye that shoots lasers into your eyes and blinds you. Eventually breaks, and it's actually really expensive to replace.
Right.
And so there's a Castlemania Games sells just a kit. You just open up your GBA and you just your Virtual Boy and you just take the stuff out and just slap it in there and screw it together. And it plugs in HDMI cable into your TV and you've got Virtual Boy on the television.
Yeah. And then to see 3D, you have to cross your eyes.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the lasers give you eyeball drift.
Yeah, there's a really cool GBA consoleizer that I've been wanting to try out, but that thing is, man, it's like $200.
Yeah,
just for the kit, and then you got to bring your own GBA.
That's cool. Yeah, I've always looked into like making consoles portable, but then making a portable system a console is also fascinating in its own right, and I think that could be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, so I know I play a lot of I play most of my GBA games on my Wii U actually.
Right.
So, which I play them on the pad mostly, but I will play them up on the TV too.
Yeah. I bought a number of GBA games on that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, maybe we can wrap up kind of with the discussion and about or some tips or resources that you can share, Kerry, or anybody that if you have if somebody's listening and they're just kind of curious about dipping their toe into this, what do they need to get, or where should they go to find out more about this kind of stuff?
Yeah. So like online resources, I would say on Reddit, the console repair subreddit is really mostly good community. I mean, it's like any other Reddit community, but it's mostly positive community where you can go in there and ask questions. And like 99% of the posts are people just being like, "I broke my PS4. What do I do?" But you can go in there and be like, hey, look at this. Is this messed up? What can I do to fix this? And people tell you, or you can ask, hey, I was trying to do this mod and it messed up here. Can I fix this? Or all sorts of stuff. And it's a really good resource. A lot of knowledgeable people there. And then you can also go like retromodding.com, handheldlegend.com. Those are both websites where I buy most of my parts, but they also have detailed how-to guides with pictures and videos showing you how to do. Like I still, when I did the GBA mod, I mean, that's like the 5th or 6th one of those I've done. And I still had Retro Modding's GBA IPS guide up on my screen, like on my phone while I was doing it, just so I can double check, am I soldering this to the right point and stuff. So those are good, like kind of how-to guides. As far as tools go, some mods you don't even need to solder. Like Game Boy Color, doing this, the backlit screens on a Game Boy Color is just, it's open it up, pop in the new thing. That's it. Like there's no soldering involved.
Now you're speaking my language, man.
Yeah. I think you might have to do soldering if you want to be able to change the brightness levels, but that's it. Which I would say to do because it's not hard soldering, but still. But if you are going to do soldering, you want to make sure you get a decent soldering iron. You want to make sure it's 60 watts. That's a big thing. If you see like a little 40-watt soldering iron, that's not going to get hot enough. So 60-watt soldering iron, solder I just use the 60-40 tin lead stuff. So just make sure you got good ventilation system going. Cause I think about that when I had that job in college and I would just be sitting there 8-hour shift, bent over a circuit board, soldering for 8 hours, just solder smoke, lead solder smoke, just blowing in my face. There was no fans or anything. It had to be an ocean. I guess they had high ceilings was their answer to that. So, be careful of that stuff. But really, you can buy like like on Amazon, whatever, you can spend like $60-$70 and buy a kit that'll have your soldering iron, like a station to hold it in, solder pump, solder, like everything you need basically to get started. You want like an anti-static mat. That's a big thing. You want to be working on a non-static surface. I've never messed with like the wrist clip business. I don't like, what I'm talking about with that, like the static clip.
Ground yourself.
Yeah, there's like a wristband and then you attach it to like a metal thing. I've never messed with that. I've never had any issues, but
you're still with us. So
yeah. Well, no, it's more about you'll fry your stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But I do use an anti-static mat and then, troll eBay for broken systems. Don't spend too much money. Buy some broken stuff. See if you can fix it. Figure out how to fix it.
Fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole like YouTube community around like restoration of consoles too. Just like buying nasty looking consoles and then cleaning them. People. Yeah. It's like ASMR for people.
You get some retro bright and clean up that old stuff, that old yellowed plastic.
If we're doing Nintendo stuff specifically as well, you probably want some tri-wing screwdrivers. Just
definitely.
They don't tend to use normal screws like everybody else.
So basically every Nintendo handheld, except for the 3DS, has tri-wing screws on the outside and Phillips screws on the inside.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's how they, from the Game Boy DMG all the way up through the through the Switch.
Do you think that was like an anti-tampering measure?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Speaking of the tri-wing, so you want a couple of tri-wings, a 0 and a 00. Couple of Phillips 0 and a 00 because different ones use different sizes. You also want security bits. It's a 3.8 and 4.5. So the 3.8 millimeter security bit, you need that to open up any cartridge.
Gotcha.
Game Boy, NES, N64, Genesis, any of that. The cartridges use the 3.8. And then the systems, 64, Genesis, GameCube, they use the 4.5 millimeter. It's called a security bit. It's a little, I think it's a hex.
Yeah, it's like a little star shaped thing.
Yeah. And so you need, so you get those 4 drivers. And I mean, you're talking $10 for the 4 things. And you're good.
Cool.
I have a nice set. My wife for my anniversary got me the like iFixit, like $45 like bit set. That's really nice. And then I just used the tri-wing and the Phillips from it.
But now you're set in case you ever.
Yeah, I already had I have just a rack that I have like, because a lot of the time when I buy Joy-Con joysticks, they almost always come with a tri-wing screwdriver in the kit. And a lot of the mod kits I buy will come with little dinky, bits and stuff.
Mm. Very cool. Yeah, I had just some stuff that I added on here as well. Just some people that I've been watching. If this is an interesting topic to you, and you're not quite sure if you want to like get into it right now, but this topic interests you just generally, some YouTubers that I really like that both restore and modify, especially handhelds, would be people like the Retro Future on YouTube. He's got lots of really cool stuff. He specifically works with a lot of Game Boy stuff. Mad Little Pixel does a lot of this stuff on YouTube as well. Retro Dodo, in addition to doing like handheld emulator videos, which is what I'm really interested in personally. I like to buy those kind of Chinese emulator handhelds. They also do a lot of stuff on console mods. And then Shank Mods was one of the first people to really do those, like the really small like Wii portable systems, and he does a lot of the portabilizing of these home consoles. So if that kind of stuff interests you, check out some of those guys.
Can I throw
please.
This Does Not Compute is a good YouTube channel. Was showing this stuff. Retro Repairs, Tronix Fix is a TRONX. Tronix Fix is good. Odd Tinkering. I mentioned Dragon's Horde Gaming. They not only do they do the mods for you, but they have detailed how-to videos, and also like they have videos on like what to watch out for, what mistakes people make. iFixit that sells like parts and stuff. They have really good how-tos, and they also have YouTube channel full of just how-to videos on like anything you can think of, not just video game repair, but all sorts of other stuff, phone repair, stuff like that. And then Voltar is kind of like a star in the community. And I was thinking, I was like, man, did I hear something bad about Voltar? And I looked up, I couldn't find it, so I don't think so. I think he's safe. But Voltar is one. I follow him on Twitter, and he's like a really good source of information. And then his YouTube is he's kind of like a bro. He's kind of does like kind of the frat bro aesthetic, which I'm normally kind of turned off on. But he's sitting there, he's like, all right, bro, now we're going to break open this Nintendo Wii, and I'm going to show you how to console. And it's like, and then he does it, and it's actually really good. I'm not so much on the attitude, but he's really good at explaining how to do it. And he does lots of cool stuff.
Modding is for everyone.
It's for everyone, exactly. Yes, exactly. Like games.
I was actually part of the console modding frat at UT.
Oh, I wish.
All right. Was there any other final thoughts or anything we didn't talk about? Anybody wants to mention real quick before we move on? Or we?
Well, it seems like a really cool hobby to get into, and after talking to you about it, it's like those barriers to entry I was worried about seem lowered a little bit, you know. So I'll probably be looking into this stuff.
I'm like, man, if I can do it, you know what? Anybody can do this. It's not hard. You know, some stuff ends up being beyond me. I've had some headaches trying to put mod chips. Some mod chips is just a pain getting them to work, you know, in consoles and stuff. But you know, the handheld stuff is pretty easy mostly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us about that, Kerry, and sharing your expertise. And we're going to take just a real quick break and then talk about all the games that we've been playing recently. All right. So I don't have a whole lot to report. I've been just mostly playing Mario Kart with my son, and I'm chipping away at Undertale. And I don't love Undertale, but it's all right. I'm kind of with DCD and Kyle Jones here. I don't know.
Are you pushing through it? You're gonna try.
I am. I actually liked it. Okay. I think it's just, let me beat it and then we'll talk more about it.
Okay. Sure.
I think the narrative payoff is good, but I think the gameplay doesn't make up for it.
Are you doing a pacifist run?
I wasn't trying to do anything. You know what I mean? I was just trying to play the game. like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's maybe, that's maybe the problem with the game. Is
Patrick hates Undertale.
I don't hate it. DCD hates it. But I don't have a whole lot to report other than that.
Sure. Matt, what have you been playing, man?
Yeah, I'll go next. I played, David, believe it or not, Donkey Kong 94.
What?
Let's go! Let's fucking go!
It's so good.
It's so good.
It shouldn't be that good.
Right? And it feels very modern for a Game Boy game.
Yeah, the movement feels very modern. Some of the moves, like the handstand move, I just discovered while playing it. I don't know if it's of use yet, but I think
it will be. Yeah,
I think I'm like into the forest level, which is like World 3. It's great to control, and it's like small enough and has achievable puzzles where as soon as you load the game, you like pretty much know what to do in order to complete it. It's great. It's a great recommendation.
Yeah, it's got. I love that the way they introduce new mechanics to you in that game. You know what I mean? It'll be like as you're moving to a new area, there's like that tiny little cutscene where Mario will be chasing after Donkey Kong, and then Mario like jumps on his head and does a little flip or something, and then it's like the next few levels. It's really helpful if you do a flip, right? And so that kind of stuff. It's just a very natural game. Man, I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's really good. The second game I've been playing, and I didn't have a great response to, started playing Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Love that game.
And I think I'm about 3 hours into it, but the first hour and a half, no good. No good at all. And I actually got pretty angry. I don't usually get angry while I play games, like get frustrated with like a game that I'm playing. I was lost in the game. I was dying a lot. I didn't know the mechanics because I'm used to playing like a game like, Arkham or Spider-Man, where the button responses are pretty fluid and it's pretty forgiving in some of its combat. But Sekiro and all, Souls games are just not forgiving whatsoever.
And Sekiro is like less forgiving than any Dark Souls game because Dark Souls, you die 1,000 times. So what? Sekiro, you die enough times and it starts affecting the world.
Yeah.
And locks off, like NPCs will die of dragon rot because you died too many times. And then that NPC is just gone. They're just gone from the game now.
It's a hard game. It
is. It's super hard.
It's hard. It's hard. And it's really I played it right before we started recording it, so I got the hang of it, and I got to the.
That's why you're in a terrible mood, right? When you started.
Yeah, exactly. I just beat the horse boss. Yeah. And that took so goddamn long. It took.
Did you have the firecrackers yet?
I got them after watching a YouTube video to figure out where they are.
The firecrackers, you throw those firecrackers, his horse rears up. He's way easier. But man, if you don't have the firecrackers, that guy is a boss. That game I played, I got like 30 hours into Sekiro, and I just hit a wall. And after I had died, I counted it 35 times to the same boss. I was like, I'm going to play something easier. And I started playing Dark Souls 3. And I'm like, Dark Souls 3 is easy mode compared to Sekiro. It is so much easier. People are like, Dark Souls is hard. I'm like, shh. The Sekiro, it's nothing. It's melting through that game. Compared to Sekiro.
What's easier, Matt? Donkey Kong 94 or Sekiro?
Donkey Kong 94.
Yeah.
I think, Patrick, you talk about this in multiple episodes where you just kind of hit a wall where you're like, I don't know if the time I'm putting into this is going to have a payoff, or like I'm going to find enjoyment out of it. So I probably, if I don't find a rhythm within the next like 3 to 5 hours, I'm probably gonna give it up. Just not having fun. The last hour that I played, I was having fun because I kind of got it, and the world was opening up more. But it's just hard.
There's been a rumor that game might be coming to Game Pass soon, which I think is a good thing for people that might get frustrated with it and then never want to play it again. You know what I mean? So like that's probably where I'll give it a try. But like, yeah, we'll see. I've never been too big on the Souls games myself, but
that was my first Souls game. I love the aesthetic. I'm a big weeb, so I was really into that. But it's just too hard.
Yeah.
Did you beat it?
No,
you hit the wall. That's right.
Man, I was not even that far in the game actually, because I spent a ton of time grinding, trying to build skills and stuff to maybe make up for my lack of skill.
Speedruns of that game are really fun to watch, by the way.
Yeah. And the modding community on that game is pretty cool too.
Hell yeah.
Can I can I mod Sekiro to play as Thomas the Tank Engine?
You can definitely mod Thomas in as some of the bosses.
Let's go.
That would make more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go next. On the Switch, I haven't been playing too much new. I've been playing a lot of Picross S4 again. I've been doing the color Picross puzzles. I'm just, I'll pretty much after this episode stop saying when I've been playing Picross and just assume that I've been playing Picross. I've been playing a little bit more Super Mario Bros. 35 because it's so close to being done.
Right.
And my goal for this, it's like we've got like 10 days left or 9 days left of it being around. So I'm trying to play as much as possible. My goal has always been to get 10 first places in a row. So
Nice.
that's what I'm trying to do right now. I think I'm like 2 or 3 in a row right now. And I keep getting it to where it's like after 6 or 7, I get like a 3rd place and it like throws the whole thing off. So I've got to just like set a day to like listen to some podcasts and just play Super Mario Brothers 35 before it goes away forever. But it's making me very sad.
Yeah, I got there because of this podcast, the episode y'all did on how to be good at that game. I went from never getting above like 20th to getting first place over and over and over again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
So I
let's
like to
go.
hear.
I love it.
Yeah. And then other than that, I've been playing some more of the Bethesda Game Pass games. I been playing a little bit more Prey, which I really enjoy, but you really have to be in the right like headspace for, because it's very much like a Bethesda style, like almost like Fallout or it's not so much like that, but it's like, you have to keep a lot of stuff in your head at the same time, and you have to like collect a lot of things and like get the right key cards for all these different places. And it's always more like Deus Ex-y than it is like Fallout or whatever, but you have to be in the right headspace for it. So I haven't gotten too far into it, but I am really enjoying that game.
Is Prey
And then what I
still
was-
is Prey like the more sci-fi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like kind of like an Arcane
Okay.
game, but in space. So it's like Dishonored in space, kind of. Great. It's a great game. I really recommend it. Made here in Austin. And then, but then what I was in the dumb headspace for was Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is just big, dumb fun, shooting Nazis and giant Nazi robots and shit like that. And that is just so stupid and great. And I've been having a great time with that as well. So having all these like Bethesda games from the past couple generations, all on Game Pass right now has been really great. It's not out yet, but this week is going to be a pretty big week if you're a fan of Super Monkey Ball. There are 2 games coming out on Tuesday. So the day before this episode comes out, Rolled Out will have released on Steam in early access. And that's like a fan-made spiritual successor to Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, I will have been playing that quite a bit. and then also, but that's only on Steam. And then on the Switch, I think there's a game called Paper Ball, which looks a little bit lower budget, not as much like love goes into it, but I'll probably be picking that up as well, just so I can have a good Super Monkey Ball-esque game on the Switch. So this is this is David from the future telling you that I've been playing those games as well. What about you, Kerry? What have you been playing recently?
Yeah, so I've been I'm 65 hours into Final Fantasy 12: The Zodiac Age on a Game Pass for PC. I'm kind of like David. I play like 6 games at once at all times. But unlike you, I try to like 100% like every game I play, which is insane. So I'm not going to 100% Final Fantasy 12.
That seems like a hard combo of juggling lots of games and being committed to them.
Yeah, I just don't sleep. Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 12. I'm kind of near the end game. Not really, actually. I'm 65 hours in, and all my characters are around like level 55, and I think the level cap is 99 in that game. So
right,
but I could probably spend 12 hours and beat it, but I'm probably going to spend another 30 on it. So I've been playing that a lot, and then I've been playing a lot of Castlevania Circle of the Moon, which I never played before. I just bought Circle of the Moon and Harmony of Dissonance on my I actually just bought like a bunch of games on my Wii U. I got out the Wii U, charged the gamepad for the first time in a year, and bought Harmony of Dissonance and Circle of the Moon and Spirit Tracks on there also. And so I've been playing, basically dividing my time somewhat evenly between Final Fantasy 12 and Circle of the Moon. And Circle of the Moon I am trying to 100%, which is also hard because it has the random drops where it's like 1% chance of dropping certain things.
Right.
But I'm doing that. I always do that with the Castlevania, the Igavanias, like Symphony of the Night. I do that.
When are they gonna release an Igavania collection for the Switch? Man, they need those portable Castlevanias on there.
I know.
Yeah.
So I've been playing those, and then Stardew Valley. I've been playing Stardew Valley on my phone. I got it on my phone.
Cool.
So I've been playing Stardew Valley a lot, which is a game I played like a year ago. I played like for a week when it was like free on Google Play for a week. I did like a free like trial, and then I was like, oh, that's good. But I got back into that. And I've been really because they have the new content patch that's just it's like a whole like expansion to the game basically for free. So I started playing that a lot, and then still playing. My son is obsessed with Minecraft, so I still spend a significant portion of my week playing Minecraft with him on the Nintendo Switch.
That's cool.
That's
nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you one more time, Kerry, for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
To us.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's like meeting celebrities.
It's exactly what it's like, Kerry.
Thanks to MilkyWay.co as our website. Thanks to Corduroy does our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, online, I am PDYX.
Hey, I'm on Twitter, Matthew, MATHYOU.
Okay, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Kerry? Where can people find you online?
Yeah, best place, look at Twitch. It's KerooSeta, KerooXSeta. I do my console mods on there. Both of these that I was showing here, I'm going to put on. I pre-recorded. I'm going to edit and put up on there. Play games, and then I have a D&D group that we play every other Friday night, and we stream on Twitch on that channel.
Oh, cool!
So
nice. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, and then of course Kerry's on the Discord all the time, and the recommendations channel. We have people post their streams a lot of times, so if you're ever looking for some of those, be sure to peruse that channel as well. Awesome. Yeah, thanks again for coming on. If you'd like to find our show, ladies and gentlemen, on social media, we are at Super Switch Headz on Instagram and Facebook, and we are at Switch Headz on Twitter. You can always catch our website at www.switchheadz.com. And then, we've got our Facebook group and our Discord. Always got to plug those. Those communities are popping off, and a great place to talk about all the stuff that you hear on the podcast and a bunch of other topics as well. Just a bunch of random bullshit sometimes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, grab that Discord invite in the description and slap it in your browser.
Yeah, exactly. Slap it wherever you get your websites. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to this episode on console modding. I hope this has given you an interest in the topic, and maybe now you'll start doing the same thing and you'll create your own console modding company on Etsy. But other than that, folks, we've got a great episode for you guys next week, so make sure you stay tuned. But until then, be safe out there. Keep wearing a mask, keep washing your hands, try to get vaccinated. We're getting real close to the end of this thing. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.